What we are going to learn now is what are the permissions that are there. So if I create any file, whether another person can see it or whether can other person edit it or read it or write it. So these are all the permissions that we are going to see now. So let's say if you created a file and if you don't want any other user to see those files, then you can give them some permissions, and those permissions are what we are going to see in this particular from this particular slide. So in the as in Windows, the highest priority user is the admin or the administrator. In the same way, in the Linux operating system, the administrator name, that is the name of the highest user, is given as the root user. So the root user is a user who is having the all the priorities, that is he is the first user on that particular PC. And if you are logging into a particular Linux system as a root user, then you have got all the permissions with you. You can edit any file, you can delete any file, you can you have all the permissions to do it. But let's say if you're logging in as a different user, then some of the permissions for you are disabled. So let's say if you want to access any system files, then you won't have the read permissions to do it. So the root user is the main user in Linux system, and there are three different groups under this root user. That is, the first one is the user himself, that is the whichever user is logging into the Linux PC. And then apart from the user, there are other two fields. The first one is called as a group, the third one is the others. So now what is this group and others field is? So under the root user, there might be many groups of the users. So there might be like group 1, group 2, group 3, and there might be like 10 groups. And the user, whatever you are currently, you might be present in any one of the user group. Maybe you are present in the group 1, for example. So for a user who is present in group 1, that is his group. So he can give permissions for himself, he can give permissions for the group in which he is present, and he can give permissions to all the other users that are apart from his group. So basically every file the user has to give the file permissions for himself, that is whether he has the read, write and editing capacity or the viewing capacity, or the second set of permissions are for the users in his own group, and the third set of permissions are for the users in the others group. So therefore every file will have totally 9 permissions: read, write and execute for the user, read, write and execute for the group, and read, write and execute for others. So it will get clear as we move ahead and as we see this particular thing on the Linux PC. So before I go to the next slide, let me just show you in this particular directory that we have created what are these file permissions. So the most important command to remember is ls space -l. So when you type ls space -l, you can see the permissions of every file that you have in that particular directory. So when you type ls space -l, so these are all the files that you have created just now. So this is a directory, this is the C file that you created, and these three are the text files that you created. Now here if you see, these are the permissions that are given for a particular file. So every file that you can see has got 10 fields here. The first field will tell you whether it's a file or a directory. So if it's a directory, as in this case, the first field is D, and if it's not a directory, then the first field is just left as a dash. So that is how you can tell whether a particular folder is a directory or it's a file. So the session1_1 is a directory, so it has got the first field as D, but for all other things the first field is a dash. Now from here on, after the first field, there are totally 9 fields, and the first 3 fields are read, write and execute. The next 3 fields are again read, write and execute, and the next 3 fields are read, write and execute. So what are these 9 fields? So the first field, as I was mentioning in this particular slide, so the first 3 read, write, execute are for the user himself. So the user who creates the file, he has got 3 permissions, that is he can read the file, he can write the file, or he can execute the file, and those permissions are given by the first 3 R, W and X that you have. The second set of RWX are for the group, that is the user is present in one of the group and the permissions that he wants to give to the users that are present in that group are given by the next three characters, that is the read, write and execute. And the last three are for the users who are not present in his group and who are in the other groups, that is the others. So for those other users also there are three more permissions, that is the read, write and execute. So therefore there are total 9 permissions. The first 3 read, write, execute are for the user. The next read, write, execute are for the group in which this user is present. And the last read, write and execute are for the users who are not present in my group but who are present in the others group. So that is how is this explanation about the permissions. Now let us see for different files what sort of permission is given. So this is the first file, that is first.c, and it has got permissions as read and write. There is no execute permission for the user. So you can see the first 3 RWX that is there. So X is not there, that is the user can read it, he can write it, but he cannot execute it. There is no execute permission as of now. Then for the group, that is the users present in the group as the same user, there are again the read, write permissions. There is no execute permission. And for the others, that is the users present in other groups, there is a read permission only. There is no write permission. That is the users who are in the other group, they cannot write this particular file. They should only read this particular file. So those are the permissions for the first.c. If you see the session1_1, it is a directory, and in this directory there is a read, write, execute permission for the user, the read, write, execute permission for the group of users, for the group in which the user is, and there is no write permission for the others. They can only read it and they can execute it. So those are the so all these particular permissions that you are seeing, these are by default. That is whenever you create a file, by default these are assigned, but as a user you can change them also, and the way you change these particular permissions will be shown in the next slide. So now I hope it is clear that totally every file has got 9 permissions. The first 3 permissions are for the user, the next 3 permissions are for the group, and the last 3 permissions are for others. Now let us move ahead to the next slide, and we will see how to change these particular permissions. So the command useful for changing the permission is chmod, and chmod space 755. So I'll just explain what this number is, but you just need to understand that you need to use the command called chmod, that is the changing of the permissions, and you have to use the file name for which you want to change. And let us look at what these numbers mean in the next slide. So these are the numbers and which file permission you want to use accordingly. So for execute, that is for X, you can give a number that is 1. If you want only an execute permission, you have to give 1. If you want to give only read permission, then you have to give 4. If you want to give only write permission, then you have to give 2. So 1, 2 and 4. So 4 is for read, 2 is for write, and 1 is for execute. So these you have to remember, and if you want all the permissions, then you have to just add. So if you want execute and write, then you have to add 1, that is for execute, 2 for write. So you have to give a number called 3. If you want all the permissions, then you have to give 4, which is for read, 2 for write, 1 for execute. You have to add all them up, and then you get 7. So when you give 7, it means you are giving a read, write and execute permission. When you give 6, it means you are giving a read and you are giving a write. When you give a 1, it means you are just giving the execute. So based on these numbers, so just you have to remember 4 is for read, and 2 is for write, and 1 is for execute. So these 3 if you remember, all other combinations are just additions of these. Now let us try this particular command, that is chmod space whatever the permissions you want to give. So in this example, what I'm doing, I'm giving 7 for the user, that is I'm giving read, write and execute. Then I'm giving 5. So what is 5? So basically 5 is read plus execute. So I'm giving 5 for the group and I'm giving 5 for others. So totally I need to give one number for the user, one number for the group, and one number for the others. Therefore, this is how the 755 is coming. Now let us try the same command onto our Amazon AWS and see how it changes the permission. So now you can see that these are the permissions that you have. Now let us change it. So to change it, I am using chmod. Okay, I think the session is locked. Just log in back. So I'll just create a duplicate session, and I'll just say Ubuntu. So I've just logged in back into the session. I guess this session I'll just close it. So now again we are in the home directory. Now if I want to go to my sessions directory, first I'll clear and then I'll do cd space session 1. So this is my directory that I've created. So I'll enter into that and now I'll type ls space -l. So now you can see that these are the permissions that you have. Now I want to modify these permissions. So to modify these permissions, I have to use a command called chmod. So the command is chmod space. Now let us take the first file, that is first.c. Let us take the C file and let us try to change the permissions of that. So the first.c has got read and write permissions for the user, read and write permission for the group, and read permission for others. Now let us try to change it and let us give 777 for all. So when I say it is 777, it means according to this table, I want to give the all the permissions for the user, all the permissions for the group, and all the permissions for others. So I want to give 777 space, I will say first.c. So this is the file name, this is the command chmod, and 777 represents I want to give read write execute to the user, read write execute to the group, and read write execute to the others. So just press enter. Now again type ls space -l and hit enter. Now you can see that this particular file, earlier it had the permissions which were like this, but now after typing this command, I am able to change the permissions of that file to read write execute, read write execute, read write execute. And why it became like this is because I gave 777. So 7 is for read write execute. Again I gave a 7 for the group, I gave a 7 for the others. So therefore, if I want to change the permissions in a different way, I will press the upward arrow so that I get the earlier command and I will change that command. So I'll give 755. So now what should happen for the user? I'm giving all the three permissions, that is read, write, and execute. For the group, I'm just giving the read and the execute, and for others also I'm giving read and execute. That is why I'm giving 55. Now when I press enter, and again I will type ls space -l, you can see that for the first it is read write execute, read and execute for the group, and read and execute for others. So because I gave 755, basically I am able to change the permissions according to what I've given. Now I'll just clear the screen and I'll show you something very interesting. So now again I'll type ls space -l and let us take a look at this file now, test1.txt. So if you can see, the user has read write permissions, that is the user, that is you, that you have created. You can read the file, you can write the file. Now what I'll do is I'll remove the write permission from that file. So how to do it? I'll use chmod and I'll only give a read permission. So if I want to give only read, then the number is 4. So what I'll do is I'll use 444, that is I'll give read permission for the user, read permission for the group, and read permission for others, space test1.txt. So this is my file name, this is the Linux command, and 444 means it gives the read, only the read permission for all the user, group, and others. So when I hit enter and I type ls space -l again, you can see that for this test1.txt how the permissions have changed. So here you have read write and then hyphen, read write hyphen, read hyphen hyphen. But now because I gave 444, all the user, group, and others only have read permission. They don't have write permission on this file. That is, even for the user, that is me, who has created this file, he can only read the file, but he cannot write it. So there is no write permission. So let us see whether it is working or not. So how to check whether I am able to write it or not? I'll use a keyword called nano. to edit this file, test1.txt. So as I don't have a write permission, I shouldn't be able to write it. That is what I'm expecting. So nano space test1.txt, I hit enter. So as soon as I enter, you can see there's a message here, file test1.txt is unwritable. So it is already telling me that it is unwritable and I won't be able to write in it. But still what I'll do is I'll just add something, add a line. I'll just add this. And now till now what I've done, I've just typed something, but if I want to write it, what is the process that I have to do? I have to press Ctrl O. Only then it is going to write the file. So when I press Ctrl O, it is going to ask me to write this file, whether it's a confirmation. When I press enter, it is saying error writing this file, permission is denied. So what it means is, for the user, that is me who has created this file, I am not able to write into this file because I have removed the write permission from that file. So now there is no other way but I have to go back, that is I have to come out of this editor. So I'll press Ctrl X. So when I press Ctrl X, it is just saying save modified buffer, because whatever I've added this line, it is not written into the file, it is stored in some buffer. So therefore I'll just say no, I'll press N and then it comes out. Now if you want to see ls space -l, so the permissions are read, read, read. So therefore I was not able to write that particular file. So now if I want to write it, I have to change the permissions for the user. So how to do that? So let me clear it and I'll again display this. Now I have to just type chmod, and this time I need to give the write permission for the user. So because write permission is 2 and read is 4, I will give 6, that is 4 plus 2. So I'm giving read and write, and I'll keep for others and the group, I'll give 4 and 4. So therefore, and now I should give the file name, that is test1.txt. This is my file name, and I'll hit enter. So now the permissions are changed. Let us check whether they are changed or not. So here I had only read for everyone, read for user, read for others, read for group. But here you can see it is read write. So I have enabled the write permission now for the user. But there is no write permission for the group. There is no write permission for others. Now let us open and see whether we are able to write something into the file, because we have given the write permission for the user. So to open it, again use nano space test1.txt. So as soon as I open it, I am not getting any messages here that it is unwritable, and I'll just say added a new line, that is my text, and then what I'll do is I'll just say Ctrl O, then I'll hit enter and I'll press Ctrl X. But before I press Ctrl X, you see it has said wrote one line, it did not give me any error. So in the earlier case it had given me an error, that is permission is denied. But in this case it did not give me any error, so it has written into that file because the user has got the write permission. Now I'll press Ctrl X to come out of that editor, and now when I press or when I just see type cat space test1.txt, it is going to display whatever I have written. So I have given the write permission for that file. Only after that I am able to write into the file. But if I don't have write permission, I won't be able to write into the file. So the permissions are very, very important, the file permissions, that in some cases if you are not able to access a file, then you can change the file permissions using chmod command. So basically the command name is chmod space, you need to give the numbers according to which permission you have to give, that is a read, write or execute, and then you have to give a space, and let's say it is like I'm giving 555, and let's say I'm giving test2.txt, that is the second file that we have. And when we press enter and when you type ls space -l, you will see there is a change in the permission, right? So there is a read and execute, read and execute, read and execute for the test2.txt, but here it was different because I used a 555 here. So this is about the file permissions. And the next thing that we will see in this particular under this session is how to execute or how to run a C file that we have written. So let us go ahead, and I'll just clear this screen, and for that I've created a slide so that just for an explanation. So this is how you execute a C file. So basically the file creation is same, that is you have to use nano space the file name, and once you do that you have to use a compiler to compile it, because the C code needs a compiler. So we have a compiler called GCC that is already inbuilt installed in the Linux OS. So we use this compiler called GCC, and the command for compiling is -o. So GCC space -o, that is a command that we will use, and we will give a name of the executable file here. That is, the name can be anything, it should be a valid file name, and this particular file we are giving so that it creates an executable file on that name after you compile it. And this is your file name which you want to compile. So test.c is the file that you have written, you want to compile it, and test is the name of the file that will be created after the compilation operation is successful, and you have to use a command called gcc space -o. And once this operation of the compilation is successful, that is if there are no errors in your file, if it compiles successfully, then you have to execute it using this executable file that you created, that is a named test, and the way to execute is /test. So any executable file that is there on the Linux OS, you can execute it by typing /test. So // and test, that is going to run that particular file. So this is a executable file and you have to run it, then you have to use /test. So let us try this on our instance. So we have already created a file, so that is nano space first.c. So this is the file that we already created. So it is just a basic file with a printf statement. So I'm just giving printf hello world, and let us compile this file first, and then let us execute it. So to compile we have to use, so before we compile I'll just type ls so that we know what are the files that are present in the directory. Now I'll use gcc space -o, gcc space -o, and then I have to give the name of the executable file. So the name of the executable file I'll give as first ex. I'll give it like this. That is the name of the executable file that we are creating, that is first ex, and then I'll give a space, and I want to execute this file called first.c. So this is the file that I want to execute. So that is the first.c. So whenever I hit enter, it is going to compile this code. Now there are no errors, so it has compiled it successfully. And when you type ls, you can see that there is a new file in your directory, that is first ex. So this is whatever file you have given here, the same file name is being shown here. So the executable file is created, and if I want to run this executable file to see the output, then I will have to press /first ex. So I need to use / and I have to use first ex. So when I hit enter, you can see that hello world is being printed here. Because I have not given any new line character, this particular thing is coming up after this only. But let us do that so that the output is clear. So nano first.c, and then I'll give a /n after I print hello world, and then press Ctrl O, enter, and Ctrl X, and do the same process again. So I'll press the upward command to go there. But now what I'll do is, instead of saving into the same executable file, I will do first ex1. So this is the new executable file that I'm creating, and when I hit enter, it is successfully done. When you type ls, you can see the new executable that is created, that is first ex1. This is what is executable. So what is the command to run it? You have to use /, and then you have to just say first ex1. So this is the file, executable file that you created which you want to run. So when you hit enter, Now because you gave a new line character, it is printing hello world, and then this particular line is coming in the new line. So this was about the execution of the C files in the Linux OS, and this particular process is common for any C file that you write. Any C file that you write, you can just sort of compile it using gcc space -o space the executable file, and then you have to give the file name. Once you run that, the executable file is going to be created in your directory, and to run it you have to use // and that particular file. So now what we'll do is we can just type one small program in C, and just try to run it. So let us just do a very small program using a for loop, and then we will try to run it. So we will just say event.c. So this is the program name I'm giving, nanospace event.c, and I'll just include the basic header file, that is stdio.h. Sorry for the typo. So stdio.h. So this is the basic header file. Then I'll say void main, and now what I'll do is I'll just initialize int. So I'll just say I. And we'll just write a very small loop, that is we'll try to find the even numbers. So I'll write for very small for loop. So for I equal to 0, I less than 50, and I plus plus. So I'm going up till 50, and I just want to find out all the even numbers. So what I'll do is if, and I'll just say I, that is the same variable. This is a modulus operator I'm using, and whenever I use a modulus operator, whenever it's an even number, it gives me a reminder as 0. That is, a modulo operator is a reminder operator, and I'm going to print that particular number. So whenever the control enters into this particular if condition, it means it's an even number, and I'm going to print even number equal to %d. So I'm going to use a format specifier for integer is %d, comma, I'm going to give that particular I. So what will happen is it is going to iterate, that is I equal to 0, I less than 50. It's going to iterate for 0 to 50, and then what it is going to do is it is going to check whether that particular reminder, whenever you divide it by 2, is equal to 0 or not. So if it is 0, it's an even number, and if this condition is true, it is going to enter into this condition, and it is going to print even number equal to the %d, that is whatever that I value is there, it is going to print that. So this is a basic very basic even program. If you want to find out odd, you have to just give I %2 double equal to 1. So now what we'll do is I'll press Ctrl O, I'll press enter, and I'll press Ctrl X. When I type ls, I will see a new file that is being created, that is event.c. Now I will compile this file using the GCC compiler. So GCC space -o, and then I have to use an executable file. So what I will do is I will give the name as even out, that is the output file or the executable file, space I need to give the file name, that is event.c. So GCC space -o space even out, that is the file that is the executable file name, and this is my event.c is the file name that I have written. And when I run it, and if there are no errors, it is going to create this even out file as an executable file, and then I will run that to show the output. So before that, okay, so I've just run it. So it is going to create even out. So this is the file here, it's there in your directory, but I just remembered something, so let me open the file, and what I'll do is I'll just write a /n here, that's a new line, so that every time it doesn't print in the same line. I'll press Ctrl O, enter, Ctrl X, and I will again run the same command, that is gcc space -o space even out space even.c. I'll hit enter. Let me clear it and I'll type ls. So you can see there is this file called even out. Now how do we run this file? We have to use / and even out. So this is the name. So when you hit enter, you can see that all these even numbers are being printed from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 till 48. Why till 48? Because I have used the loop only till 50. So if I increase this number, it is going to print the even numbers even after that. So these are some of the programs that you can try, that is finding the maximum number among the three numbers, or printing Fibonacci series, printing Armstrong number. So these are all the basic programs that you can type in your Amazon AWS instance, and then you can compile it using the using this particular GCC command, that is gcc space -o space the executable file name space the C file name that you have, and then to run it you have to just use /test. So as you can see, we have learned the Linux commands in this session. We have also seen how to execute a C file. So now you can practice C programs. In the next session we will see how to create Python file. So we will start with the Python language from the basics, and then we will see how to create a Python file and how to run a Python file. So that is the topic for our next session. But till this session, you can practice all these Linux commands in your instance. You can create different directories. You can move from one directory to other directory. You can use Nano to create different files, and you can also use the Nano to create a C file, and you can practice some of these programs, and you can compile it, you can execute it to get a clear idea about what we have discussed today. So the more you practice, the more you are going to learn. So therefore I encourage everyone to spend some time in this and type the Linux commands, and just try to get used to all these Linux commands very well, so that in the next session we'll be using all these commands very heavily. That is, we are going to use it in all the practical sessions that we have. So I hope you liked this particular session, and see you in the next session. Thank you so much.